Hey everybody, tonight we're going to look at some full-size Pontiacs. But first, jump on over to nobodysplaybook.com, check out what we've got over there. Hey everybody, I'm Chadwick with Nobody Else's Auto. We deal in classic and special interest cars and parts. We have over 1,100 classic cars in our salvage yard, and that's what we do and that's what we love. Thanks for coming by Nobody's Show. If you've been here before, thanks for coming back. If you're new, we're glad to have you here. And this is going to be the show for gearheads. We're going to talk about hot rods, muscle cars, customs, classics, trucks, cab overs. We may even get into some of the newer stuff into the 70s and 80s. We're also going to talk about gas pumps, signs, oil cans, toys, all types of automotive memorabilia. Because here at Nobody's Show, this is your show. We're going to be on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 7 o'clock. Don't miss it. Now let's get into tonight's episode. Hey everybody, it's Chad with Nobody Else's Auto. On tonight's episode of Nobody's Show, we're out in the yard again, and we're going to look at a couple of rows of full-size Pontiacs we've got sitting around. So this is some 60s and 70s stuff. We're in kind of a big car section we've got for 60s and 70s. So we'll walk down a couple of rows of these and talk about a few of those. First one on the list here, 66 Bonneville two-door hardtop. Somebody sanded this car down. We started a restoration on it years and years ago, and that's as far as it got. This is kind of an interesting car. This car is a factory 421 tri-power car. Bought this car back, oh gosh, in the early 90s. Needed the motor and tri-power for a 2+2 convertible I had at the time. So I do not have the motor and tranny for, or motor and tri-power for this car. It went with a 2+2 convertible when I sold it, and it went to Sweden. But this is a factory 421 tri-power Bonneville hardtop, so kind of a neat car. Next to that one, we've got a 74 Grandville convertible. These 70s era convertibles are getting really hard to find. This whole car is rough. It's just a parts car, but it is a convertible. It got a lot of convertible pieces left on it. So always glad to keep these things around because we know people are going to need some pieces off of these. Next to the Grandville, we've got a 64 Catalina. This car is just a four-door sedan, but still a lot of good pieces. Car's still pretty solid, some good sheet metal, still got some good trim, grills, bumpers, lots of good stuff on there for somebody doing a two-door. This car's still, for the most part, fairly complete. It's missing the trunk lid, still got all the dash in it. Next to the 64 Catalina, we've got a 70 Bonneville four-door hardtop. Originally had a 455, motor's gone, but still a lot of good pieces here. Pretty solid body and lots of trim left on this one. It's hard to think about, but a 70 is now a 50-year-old car. So it's kind of crazy that we're almost to 2020 here in a few months, and the stuff from 1970 is 50 years old. Behind this one, we've got another 66. This time an executive four-door hardtop. The rear end is missing out of this car, but other than that, it's pretty much all there. Still got all the nose in it. And a lot of good pieces left on this car. Take a look inside of this one. I always like seeing the big chrome dashes. Actually still had knobs, not touch screens. Good looking old cars. Next to that 66, we've got a 62 Catalina two-door hardtop. This old car's pretty rough. It's been sitting for years. We pulled this out of a salvage yard several years ago. But these two-door hardtops, not a lot of them around. Sold several pieces off of this car just because they are hard to find and they are very popular. But still a lot of stuff here, especially being a Catalina two-door hardtop. With a lot of good pieces on it. This car is pretty rusty. But man, you just don't stumble across hardtops very often, so definitely want to keep this around because we know there's still going to be a lot of people needing stuff off of this. Next to that one, 71 Bonneville two-door hardtop. This car is a 455 car. It was running and driving when I bought it. It's still got its 455 in it. Car is pretty much complete. Everything's still intact under the hood, so there's still a lot of pieces there. Plus, I know the 455 is good in it. Next to the 71 Bonneville, the last car in this row, 1967 Grand Prix. 67 Grand Prix was a very unique car. Grand Prix always had specific trim, grille, lights, etc. 67 being kind of a different year, the only year they made a Grand Prix convertible. And these pieces are tough to find for these. I actually have 3 67 Grand Prix in stock currently. I do not have any convertibles. They are all hardtops, but the specific pieces of that 67 Grand Prix are tough to find. Take a look at this car. Most of it's still intact underneath, inside. We have sold a lot of the front clip off of it. I do still have some front clip stuff on the other cars. But these old 67 Grand Prix are really sharp cars, and they're tough to find pieces for. So fortunately, we do have 3 of them in stock for the guys that are restoring them. So anyway, that ought to catch us for tonight. Knocked out a few rows of good looking Pontiacs. We got a lot more to go, guys. We've got around 1,200 cars, so we're knocking them out a little bit at a time. Something specific you want us to do a walk around on, talk about, look at, just let us know. We're always glad to do it. Be sure to catch us Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 7 o'clock. Thanks for watching. We're glad you're here with us.